Thank you very much, Secretary General. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Central African Republic. Your Excellencies that are here present, the Chairperson of the Board of Governors, Mr. Hassan Abdallah, my dear brother. Let me stop there for a moment. Mr. Abdallah, you have been an excellent chairperson. You've been an exemplary chair in supporting us for these annual meetings. A very efficient chairperson, and a chairperson who took the strategy of the bank so seriously about Feed Africa that he decided to overfeed us at these meetings. Mr. Chairman, I've watched you throughout all our meetings, both in terms of how you open up yourself to us, how you embrace everything, how you through the resources of the central bank and also of the government of Egypt towards making this such a wonderful meeting. And yesterday night was just incredible. We are leaving this place with incredible memories of your beautiful country. Well, thank you for your sterling leadership. Their governors, alternate governors, the commissioner from the African Union Commission, honorable ministers, and of course I recognize my dear sister, Minister Mashat, that is here, the Minister of International Cooperation from the government of the Arab Republic of Egypt, all honorable ministers, heads of regional economic communities, heads of international, multilateral, bilateral, and regional financial institutions, delegates and shareholders, executive directors and senior management and staff of the African Development Bank Group. Of course, my beautiful and always extremely supportive wife, Grace. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is amazing that a week ago, 1 week went back so fast for the 2023 annual meetings. We all arrived here, we came together to this beautiful city of Sharm el-Sheikh, the city of peace, to engage in discussions on climate change, to discuss how we will mobilize climate finance and support green growth with the private sector. You came because you believe in Africa. You came because you support Africa. You came because you are a partner of Africa. Our leaders were here in large numbers. President El-Sisi was here as the chief host of the annual meetings. The President's presence and message showed his very strong commitment to the cause of climate finance for Africa, of course, following up on the incredibly successful COP27 meetings held right here in this same place. The chairman of the African Union Commission was here. The president of Comoros and the chairman of the African Union was here. The president of Zimbabwe was here. The vice president of Tanzania, the prime minister of Somalia, the prime minister of Rwanda, the prime minister of the Central African Republic, who is actually still with us today, the prime minister of Burundi, all were here. And of course, they were joined by the prime minister of the Arab Republic of Egypt. Their collective presence shows the strong support the African Development Bank has in its drive to accelerate Africa's development. I had so many things in these meetings. I took a lot of copious notes, as I always do, because the points you raise, the issues you raise, and the guidance that you give are also crucially important for us to note them, remember them, reflect on them, and adjust based on them. I heard that we should leverage more the private sector for climate finance as a bank. I heard that we should accelerate investments in renewable energy. I heard that we should have a just and fair energy transition and ensure that we have energy access, affordability, and security for Africa. That Africa needs to use its natural gas for solving its energy challenge, including gas to power, liquefied natural gas for cooking to save the lives of millions of women who die every single year using dirty fuels, charcoal, and firewood, and there are children that die with them for just trying to make what we take for granted, making a decent meal for their families. That we should accelerate the support to countries on the development of their nationally determined contributions and the long-term strategies to support green transitions and green growth for our economies. It is, I am absolutely convinced, in the interest of Africa to green its own economies. We heard about the reform of the global financial architecture and how critical this is, and that the reforms should strengthen, not diminish, the roles of the multilateral development banks that are in the regions like ourselves, because it's not just the global public goods that matter. Global public goods land in our regions or in regions, in countries, in communities, and the multilateral development banks, regional multilateral development banks know their regions, are present in their regions, have strategies for their regions, are trusted by their regions, and deploy policy instruments in dialogue with their regions better than anybody else can do because they are trusted in those regions. We heard about very strong support for the special drawing rights SDRs to be rechanneled to Africa through African Development Bank, and that lead SDR donors should help to make this happen now so that the financial proposal of the bank working collaboratively with the Inter-American Development Bank have succeeded in putting forward that now meets the reserve asset quality called for by the IMF for the SDR as a reserve asset. We had about strong appreciation for the African Development Bank's leading globally on innovative approaches for mobilizing financing, including its celebrated room to run with synthetic securitization, among others, with great support from our shareholders. At these annual meetings, we celebrated the first two projects that were enabled under our room to run transaction that was funded by the UK government that allowed us to free up $2 billion. We celebrated those for projects on green growth and climate resilient technologies for Senegal and for Egypt, thanks to the support of the UK government to the Room to Run program. So let's do more, and let's keep on running. We heard that we should continue to expand support for food security, that we should tackle debt issues, and that there should be urgent measures for debt resolution and to make the G20 common framework on debt work. And that we should continue to focus on reducing fragility and the links between conflict, fragility, and development, including the bank's program that we plan to do on security-indexed investment bonds. That we should continue to focus on women and the youths, especially for skills and entrepreneurship. And there was very strong support for the youth entrepreneurship investment banks. That we should continue to be selective and focus on areas of comparative advantage of the bank, as well as to improve the quality of our operations. That, as I've always said, big issues requires us putting our hands around the baobab tree in Africa. That's how it works. And Africa's challenges are like baobab trees. We have to all put our hands around it. And that calls for partnerships, a lot more partnerships. Partnerships in developing, executing, implementing, and resourcing programs. Partnerships in mobilizing resources. Their governors, I tremendously enjoyed our governors' dialogue. It went on for more than 3 hours. And I remember as that was going on and the time was ticking off, Simon Mizrahi, my vice president, who did a fantastic job of moderating that session, walked up to me and said, "Mr. President, the time is ticking. I know you have several other things to do, and I wonder whether we'll be able to take everybody." I told him, "Simon, the most important people for me at our annual meetings are my governors. Every other thing, we build it around them. I want to hear them. I want to get their views. I want to get their perspectives. If it's mean we go on for 4 hours, let it be. We continue to do that." I took so much notes in pads that are with me, and I've told, by the way, please, my staff do such an incredible job, but I don't know how to even stay because they're not sleeping, because I hardly sleep myself. But they keep these notes for me so that at least I make sure that I refer to these notes. We heard from our governors on several areas that we need a much larger African Development Bank as we look to the future of the biggest challenges facing Africa as it copes with many of this deluge of global challenges. And that the bank is more crucial and well trusted than any other financial institution because the bank knows Africa. And I think, as the governor from Saudi Arabia said, has a heart for Africa. Because Alexia reminded us, Africa is our mandate and we trust you when it comes to Africa. We heard that Africa will shape the future of the world's economy, as my sister Alexia said. The African Development Bank will be the key to unleashing Africa's potential. And we saw that today as you, our governors, in your thought meeting, spoke and discussed the communique for the bank, for your meetings, where you expressed strong support as our Board of Governors for the African Development Fund to leverage its equity and mobilize more resources to the capital markets. Now, this was a long journey, long discussions, deliberations, questions, issues raised as they should be raised. But we've come to a point where we all collectively agree we need more resources for the low-income countries and that we should leverage the equity that the bank has. And that our governors said that we should pursue this. And I want to say that when the agreements are fully reached and implemented, this could unlock several billions and billions of dollars for the low-income countries and fragile countries in Africa. That could potentially be about $4 billion per replenishment cycle. That could even grow to $27 billion, maybe even more, depending on when we launch it and how much equity we build in it over time. But what's important is that we came here together. I want to thank you very much. We will continue to put in place, as per your statements in the communique, the enablers necessary to potentially leverage the equity of the fund in the international capital markets. Dear governors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we can therefore leave Sharm el-Sheikh with excitement. The whole week has been simply phenomenal. I'd like to thank you, our governors and your delegations that came with you, for your excellent participation. I'd like to thank all the participants from around the world who attended and participated so actively in all the sessions as you huddled in the hallways, over lunch, over dinner, over all the other events. The only thing left now, as you know, I love dancing, is to dance and hope somehow we can have that in tonight. New friends were made that will help advance Africa's development. I'd like to thank you once again, the governor of Egypt, Governor Abdullah, and the entire government for an incredible job. When I came here and I came to see His Excellency President El-Sisi, in the meeting as we were walking out, he told me, you will really enjoy your annual meetings here because we will spare no expense to make it one of the very best that you've ever had. And that's exactly what has been done. I would like the staff of the Central Bank of Egypt to please rise, because they have worked wow, these guys are incredible guys, you know. Thank you very much. And please, other agencies from the Ministry of International Cooperation, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, everybody worked so hard. It was an all-government affair. And of course, the governorate of the South Sinai, they did all this work and facilities for us. Thank you to Governor Fuda, Major General Fuda, for all of that. The spouses were not left out. In fact, my wife told me that they had so much fun that some of the men actually that were supposed to be in these meetings decided to be spouses. So they went into their own visits, and many of them were snorkeling. That's very fun, and thank you very much to for all of that. That's the lunches and the dinners were great. And we enjoyed the Africa Day with a beautiful cultural evening yesterday. Yep. And it was so wonderful to dwell together in unity, joining hands and hearts across the world for Africa. I'd like my governors to please stand. The governors of the bank, please. Thank you very much, governors, for being here. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your excellent support. Without any doubt, this is one of our very best annual meetings ever. Yep. And we certainly look forward to coming back. Kudos to all the staff of the bank. I have great staff working for me. My staff, please stand, from Senior Vice President, Vice President, DGs, directors, everybody. Secretary General, General Counsel, excellent job that you did. Thank you very much. We got some guys here called Javier and his team that put together all the structures. The guy is over there. Yeah, thanks, Javier. And there are some folks that you actually don't see here, but they are in the back room making interpretation work so that we can hear each other and therefore we can understand each other. And we couldn't come here without drivers, without security staff, all those that work so late at night to make sure that we can get from place to place. The technicians, the electricians, everything seems to work, but it's not like magic. These guys work to make sure it works. Thank you, everybody. And so let us leave Sharm el-Sheikh with a greater sense of commitment, a greater commitment to working together, a greater commitment to supporting your bank, a greater commitment to supporting Africa, a greater commitment to building a more resilient and prosperous Africa, a greater commitment to stay with Africa. For Africa will shine. We look forward to seeing you all at the annual meetings of the bank in Nairobi. It's therefore a great pleasure to congratulate our new chairperson of the Board of Directors of Governors, Professor Njuguna, the Minister of Finance of Kenya. Congratulations as well to the new members of the Bureau of Governors of the bank. Thank you all very much. Merci beaucoup, shukran, and God bless.